How do you build up your characters based on this? When you are writing of a story or a poem, how
Now,
do you
as
build
a
it?
writer, I do have an understanding about my IQ. Now, I know that I don't have a IQ of Shakespeare.
Right,
Okay, I have a general IQ and I have a general knowledge,
right.
and I cannot go beyond my IQ. If you see, the suicide rates are most in adolescents right now, after adults.
Okay.
It's mostly because of this. Because parents fail to understand their kids,
There's a communication gap. What you mean?
and to reduce this communication gap, I think we need to study psychology. Girls have this problem of chasing bad boys or the
Yeah.
emotionally unavailable people.
Right.
These are exactly girls who did not get enough attention from their parents when they were
Okay,
younger.
okay.
I mean, any of the parent. They got neglected and they had to work very hard to get their attention.
I think Sherlock wouldn't be Sherlock
Without Watson.
without Watson, or also the way Watson wrote Watson sort of perceives Sherlock.
Exactly. I always suggest students read outside the syllabus as well, because do not restrict your knowledge. And me excelling in different curricular activities was for a soul-based reason, because I wanted to be multifaceted.
Welcome to another new episode of Student Voice Matters. This is your host, Sonalika Goswami. And today we have with us Kashish Shaw, a third year English Honours student at Bhawanipur Education Society College. These days, students often find themselves lost and not being able to find the right way to utilize time. Kashish here is an exemplary stand on how to make use of a time when you are actually in a constraint, in a world when you don't know how to make use of that time. Kashish have had some outstanding achievements that she got by making use of the time during pandemic, when all of us were figuring out what next. So today, Kashish, I hope you will help us in figuring out, and you will inspire the students you will inspire the students and guide them to use times in the best way possible. So thank you for coming here today. So you are an English Honours student, right?
Yes, and thank you for having me. Well, I think pandemic for me was like an opportunity, because before that I did not get a lot of time to spend with myself. I did not know myself very well. So after the boards we had time. I had a lot of time. I spent some quality time with my parents, and I was a budding writer, I knew it. But I wasn't a very good writer. So for me to be able to reach a position and make a mark as a writer, I think pandemic has helped me, because that was the time when I polished my skills.
So you had just finished your 10th board or 12th boards?
10th board.
10th boards.
Yes.
So then you already knew that you wanted to pursue something in English, you wanted to do something with your writing?
Somewhat I knew, but I won't say I was pretty confident about it.
So you always loved writing. Since with what age?
I think when I was in class 8.
Class 8.
Yeah.
So did you ever how did you grow this interest in writing?
Well, I used to write poems, and I used to be a person who's quite expressive, but there's also a part of me that doesn't share stuff with the world. And for that, I think I started journaling. And I did not say everything to everyone. And when I was journaling, I saw that there are a few things that, they're coming in rhymed verses. Or maybe they're coming like a poem. Or maybe it's something like a story.
So then you thought that maybe it is a little worthy of showing to the world.
No, then I showed it to my teachers first.
Okay.
Like my tuition teachers or my school English teachers. And they loved it.
And what did they have to say?
And they said that keep on writing.
Okay. And when lockdown first hit, what was how did you feel in the initial days? Was writing the first thing that you turned to, or did you feel like, oh, I don't want to write, I don't know what to do? You know how we were all feeling, we didn't know what to do next. So
to be honest, I think during the lockdown, my first phase of lockdown was very painful, because I came out of depression. I went through depression just before my boards, because I was quite weak in mathematics, to be honest. And
We all are.
no, I think that was a subject
I know
I
many
did not understand
of my
quite
friends,
well.
and including me. None of us are very strong in mathematics, so I relate to you.
And I was good in all other subjects. So the pain mathematics gave me, and I wanted to score 95 up in boards because again I had some goals. So for that, I somehow went into depression, and I was kind of like, I lost hope. Writing gave me hope.
And did writing help you sort of recover from depression?
Yes, it was like healing.
What were the things that you were writing?
See, I was writing sad stuff, and I wrote a poem, I remember, No One Can Stop Me. That was a poem for that changed my life. I think that is a poem I wrote for myself.
Did you publish any of these stuffs that you wrote during that time?
Yes, I
You
did.
And what did people say? What were the reviews like? What
I
was
think
the
when-
most heart-touching review you got, which escalated you further?
I think heart-touching review is, I think when people who did not like me started appreciating my work, that was a time that that hit me. Okay, this is something
is
that
something.
this is something that I need to pursue further. And I think you have this one stupid ritual of writing in each other's diary when you leave.
School, yeah.
Yes. So I think 40 or 50 people wrote in my diary, and each one of them wrote that we want you to see publishing your books. We want someone like you to be an author. Some also wrote that we want to see you in TV or doing some great work.
Right. Kashish, you told me that you have had some outstanding achievements in this field of writing, and you became you sort of made yourself confident in public arena. So how did that happen, and how did you make this happen during the pandemic is what I want to hear from you.
Okay, during the pandemic, I think, like I said, first 6 months were more about writing, exploring, and developing my skills. So I think that time I participated in writing challenges, and I was just getting associated with Rotaract Club Kolkata, which gave you some small challenges like write a letter to yourself, explaining that how you're spending your time in pandemic, like small topics.
This is a work from home thing.
Work from home thing. And then I started winning those contests, and that gave me the confidence. And then I started participating in daily writing challenges. Like,
Okay.
I used to be a part of 15 groups. Usme se I think I participated in at least 3 or 4 challenges every day.
And how many people were a part of this Rotaract Club?
Nearly 500, I guess.
Okay, that's a huge number.
That's huge number. And when you start writing every day, and you write about small things like friendship, like love, first love, enemies, or what did you like the most in your school, the people you hate, or tears, or anything, like simple topics. And then there was one picture, very intriguing picture, that a girl is standing outside a haunted castle, and now you have to write anything. So I wrote a very good poem on that, A Dreadful Dream. I think that's one of my best work till now.
Okay, so did you publish it somewhere?
Yeah, and I was shocked after writing it because I couldn't believe that I could write so well. And then I also got special mentions. Then during the lockdown, what happened? Many Instagram pages emerged, and they
yeah,
started
correct.
mentioning me when I started winning.
Right,
So
they
that
were
gave me
mentioning
more, visibility on
confidence
social
boost
media
as well.
Yes.
Right. So were you always like confident about public speaking, or is
No.
that something that happened?
No, in school, I think I was quite underconfident because I did not get the right opportunities. I think some of my teachers believed in me, but most of them didn't. So the opportunity always slipped away. I think I became confident in college because I think college gave me a lot of opportunities from
But
the
then
first
these
year.
awards that you won, these platforms that you went to, it also
Online competitions.
right, but it also needs a certain kind of confidence to apply to these platforms.
I think I always had it in me, like intrinsic, but I think I was not aware of it. But participating in these challenges, reciting my own poems in a way that I can, connect to the audience, like the mirror effect.
Right. So for the people interested in writing, for the people looking for channels, Explain a little bit what are the kind of competitions you've been to and how did you find them out? Just elaborate a little bit on that.
I think there are some Instagram pages like, which keep on conducting competitions. I think you should participate in those, even if there is little bit of, registration fees.
Right. So you have also been on many national level writing platforms. How did you connect to those?
First, I started winning in this like small competitions. Then they only offered me that, ma'am, you should go for this competition, and we really want to see whether you have the capacity to win or not.
So they came up with the opportunities.
Yeah. So I think it's a like step by step thing.
Yeah.
You put on the first step, then you climb the next step, and then as you move forward, you keep on climbing up. So
mention 2 or 3 best, most satisfying achievements of yours.
I think the most satisfying achievement was when I achieved the Achiever of the Year award.
Okay.
Because that was an overall award. It was for academics. It was for
and who was
extracurricular.
conducting that?
That was, I think, Zoid or Yumna Gulwas. She is the fastest writer in the world.
Okay.
She wrote her own book in 30 minutes, I guess.
Wow. Okay.
And her own autobiography in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and she is just 14 or 15-year-old person.
Wow.
I mean, she's a kid. And she was the one who...
Gifted, probably. Gifted mind.
Probably gifted.
Yeah.
And then she wrote a crime fiction, that too. It was amazing. I read a book, and then she was the one who gave me opportunities. She was like, you should keep on participating in anthologies. And I did not know what anthology is about. And she told me, there is a book where 40 writers, they put
in their writings together.
Yeah, 1 or 2 write-ups, and then we compile it, we make it a book, and then publish it. So she kept on offering me, and then all of her colleagues, they also got to know about me when I started publishing in her book. So this is how the network
expanded and how you got
was
all
building.
these platforms.
And when the network, when people started knowing me, then I think there is Dullab Sarkar. He's the founder of Zoid Foundation. Publishing house. He also has his publishing house has a lot of world records.
Okay. Wow.
He was also the one who offered me to write, and he was the one to first nominate me for an award.
Okay.
So he told me, yes, ma'am, I think you should participate in this, and I think you can nominate yourself for this award.
So you started off with these Instagram pages, participating in
Instagram
the
pages, then again, I will tell you, I went to a new school, which was Ashok Hall.
Okay.
And there was this teacher, my psychology teacher, who gave us this link to participate in one competition, which was from Notariate Club. And she told us, you participate, then they will give you more options. I did that. And there has to be science. She was an angel.
And then I think you had a quality in you which, made you go further, because had you not been the kind of writer that you are, why would people, still push you and ask you to, submit writings? I think because all these people saw the potential in you, they wanted you to go ahead, right? So I think in the pandemic, you were quite, like in 11th and 12th, when, the classes were online, I believe.
Yes.
So did that in any way, make it a little easier for you to focus more on writing?
It saved a lot of more time. I didn't have to travel. Then I had so much free time. And I also had few relaxing subjects. Because I didn't have history, I didn't have geography and humanities. I was the first student to have such a special combination.
Even I didn't have history or geography and humanities.
So people were quite shocked. I took fashion studies instead.
I had it too. I had fashion studies too. I was in Mahadevi Birla. So quite similar. So I had fashion studies too, and every time people like, what, you had fashion studies in 11 and 12? I'm like, yeah.
And actually I was quite shocked. I scored 100 in that.
Wow. I could never score that decent mark in fashion studies ever.
No, it's also because of my mother.
Is she connected to fashion in any way?
No, she knows how to stitch and stuff.
That is the
so she taught me how to make designs and how to make a shirt and all that thing.
Again, people mistake fashion studies a lot with just fashion shows and glamour, fashion study is absolutely a different subject.
Different. It's actually hard.
It's very hard. It teaches you, I think, about materials. It teaches you different, cuttings, and it's actually a lot about
And measurements.
measurements.
One
correct.
measurement wrong, your entire, what will I say? Your entire
Right.
theory goes wrong.
I think it's very less about the glamour part, but more about the making and
Making,
production part. The
exactly.
factory work is what you actually learn, and it's very difficult for people who just assume fashion studies. Right. So then, what are the other subjects that you had?
I had psychology, I had sociology, I had Hindi, I had English elective, advanced
As
English.
a writer, you always try to capture the audience's mind in some way, right? Now that
Yes.
you are also into publishing your work. So, in that case, did psychology ever come into help?
Definitely, a lot of help. Even as a reader, when you read characters, I think you only like characters that are multi-layered. You don't like flat characters. You like characters that resonate with you, that have flaws, that have vulnerabilities. You're not watching TV serials that everything will be like perfect and the characters will be like ideal type. No. We like characters that are twofold, who do mistakes, are vulnerable, and I think the descriptions authors give about body language and about the background, why do they give it? For the readers to connect to it.
Engage more.
Yes, and for that engagement, I think you need to have an understanding about human behavior and about the surroundings. So I think for that, psychology helps a lot.
So, what was your interpretation of human behavior, and how did psychology help you?
I think when I was studying psychology and I was studying about your human behavior, there's this chapter called human behavioral therapies,
Behavioral therapy,
behavioral
correct.
techniques. There's classical conditioning and there is some experiments that, how we are wired. It's also because the way we have been brought up.
Right.
We all are conditioned, especially Indians. The parents used to give us chocolates when we used to do something good. Like, I think I remember my mother used to give me chocolate each time I ate something green vegetable or something. So that was kind of a conditional.
Correct.
And each time I got those chocolate, I eventually developed a habit.
I think it again happens in negative aspect as well. You get aversive reaction to things.
Negative reinforcement. That is something that we
right.
call.
You have a very aversive reaction. So, like, if you're doing something and then your mom scolds you for it as a child, you develop you develop a disliking towards it. Growing up,
A threat.
A threat, kind of. Say you have been to a friend's house and then you came back and probably you broke something there, and then probably the friend's mother scolded you for it. You would never want to go back to that friend's house growing up. Even if things change, even if the mother is good to you, there is still, like, every time you try to go to the person's house, you hesitate because you sort of grow an aversive reaction towards it.
It's also because children, they don't have the capacity to understand people, other people's emotions. Like EQ level, emotional intelligence, there's a little bit less in children.
Right.
And that develops with age and experience.
Emotional quotient, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as we talk about IQ, we should also talk about EQ.
Absolutely. I
And as a
agree.
writer, it's very important for me.
Explain the audience the difference between intelligence, IQ and EQ.
Now, IQ is more about the
And how it helps you in writing.
I think IQ is more about intelligence that is related to performing certain things or doing mathematical calculations or functioning in daily life, the task you do. And I think everyone's intelligence is different. And EQ is about the way you perceive the world, the way you understand body language, the way you present yourself, if you're sensitive to other people's emotions or not. These are them.
How do you build up your characters based on this? When you are writing of a story or a poem, how do you
As
build
a
it?
writer, I do have an understanding about my IQ. Now, I know that I don't have a IQ of Shakespeare.
Right.
Okay, I have a general IQ and I have a general knowledge,
Right.
and I cannot go beyond my IQ. I know that, but it can definitely be increased by doing certain things. And I think EQ has helped me. When you become a writer, when you start observing people, that is when you start realizing, okay, the person is sitting like this, maybe that person means this. If the person is fidgeting or blinking his eye, then it's anxious probably.
Do you inculcate that in your stories?
I do.
If you're trying to write, say a person is angry, so then you interpret that into heavy breathing, walking with a like? Do you
No, red face, constantly looking at you.
like? But you cannot show that. So how do you write it in writing? Like suppose you want to express anger, how do you express it in your writing?
Then I think I just give a general description how first I give a background that why the writer might be angry. Maybe he's sitting in a fidgeting manner, he's looking, staring at someone, glaring at someone, his eye, body expressions, everything. So even if the reader has no idea what the context is, we'll still get an idea by the description that the character is angry for some reason.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think this is what the best writers have used, and that's why they're the best writers. Like Jeffrey Archer, if you read his novels, he will not say everything explicitly, but the way he builds the plot, the way he progresses in each chapter, you'll get to know
You
that
have an understanding of
Yeah.
the plot. And so, how else has psychology? Because I can understand that you have a very, you are certainly a little passionate about psychology, and it definitely helped you in some way. What else did you drive from the subject?
I think I'm a dancer and I'm an artist, spoken word poet. So in that sense, I think as a dancer or a performer, when you go on stage, it's very important to resonate with the audience. You want to build a rapport with them. And who likes to perform on stage when no one is enjoying your performance?
Right, if people are looking here, there, you automatically lose interest.
No. So I think for that, psychology has helped me. Like it has taught me how to be confident, what kind of body language looks appealing to the audience, what kind of tonality, then what kind of, if you're telling a story, then what should be your approach? If you're telling a poem, what should be your approach? Like I generally start with a background. Like, I wrote this poem because this thing happened. So eventually creates a connection. कि हाँ, इसने ये इसलिए लिखा है क्योंकि इसके साथ ये हुआ और ये शायद उसके साथ भी हुआ होगा. For example, heartbreak or love or first love. This is a very common theme.
Right.
Everyone has experienced it.
Right.
So when you talk about that, people are exactly reminded of their own experience.
Right, then okay, I have had this phase.
And that exactly what happens is mirror neurons.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
mirror neurons is a feature in our brain, like, which helps us to be more empathetic. Like
Empathetic.
It creates empathy in you,
Right.
and makes you feel the pain of others.
It puts you in somebody else's shoes.
Exactly, and that can only happen if you talk or approach the audience in a manner so that they can resonate.
How do you do it? In what way?
Like
do
I
you-
said, that I give a backstory, and somehow that backstory is presented in a way. Like I first start with a low tone, and I give some pauses, and I change my body, and I look at my co-anchor. Like I do these things,
Okay.
and this is how I create some suspense. And then people are intrigued, "Arey, ye to mere saath bhi hua tha. This also happened with me." And then I start reciting. But if I just go on and I say the title of my poem is this, and this is what I have written, I think no one's going to listen to you.
But I think audience engagement, body posture, all these you talked about, is helpful in any field, because even if you're giving a lecture, on a scientific topic, you would want your students to get engaged. So in that case, do you think psychology is basically helpful or should be, a part of every subject in any way, like, in a generalized
It
manner?
should be. It should be. I think psychology about human behavior should be taught to everyone. You might not understand the cognitive side of the psychology because that's more technical. It's more about neurons and science. It goes into neurology, neuroscience. But behavioral part, or the psychoanalytic part, where the Freud's theory,
Correct.
that thing comes, that is something we all need to be aware, because that help. I think the reason I read Freud's book, that is Interpretation of Dreams, because I wanted to understand my own traumas.
You had psychology in your college as well. So then when you read Freud's theory and then you wanted to interpret, tell me a little more about that. Like, how was the journey in interpreting your own dreams? Did you ever feel like you could interpret it correctly? Did it intimidate you? Did it? And tell me about it.
It was quite intimidating because the simplest of dreams have so much meaning. You don't even know about it. Like you have 5 stages according to psychoanalytic theory: the oral stage, the anal stage, the phallic stage,
Right.
the adolescence period. Adolescence is, by the way, the most stressful time of
Correct.
anyone's life.
You go
know.
through so many emotions, so many
There's
complexities.
biological changes. There's also psychological changes.
There's hormonal change,
Yes,
firstly.
that we don't talk about.
That we don't talk about. That is correct. That we don't even mention. Even
That
though
is the time when a girl is on a transition to become a woman.
And nobody even talks about it. Like, it's very irrelevant, sadly.
And if you see, the suicide rates are most in adolescents right now, after adults.
Okay.
It's mostly because of this. Because parents fail to understand their kids.
There's a communication gap. What you mean.
And to reduce this communication gap, I think we need to study psychology. Not just for students or the children, but also for the parents. If they understand that why my child is behaving in such an erratic manner or is going out with a guy, I think
this will again, if you start teaching all these students, if you start inculcating psychology as a part of your studies since school level, like I don't mean 11 and 12, but maybe before that, 9, 10, 11, 12, the beginning of adolescence, then probably once these students become parents, they will still have like, okay, I read these things, so I know. So, this is how it happens. The students become the parents to the next
but
generation.
for that
of
to
students.
happen, our faculty or the people who are the decision makers need to understand this fact. And I think most of them don't.
I don't think like you mentioned, and I agree with you, that psychology is not just a subject, it's a part of life.
It's a part of
Right.
being you.
It's a part of being me, correct.
Exactly.
And my relationship with the people around, it definitely helps. But tell me a little bit about your dream interpretation part. How did it go?
Now that dream interpretation part was very weird. See, I used to dream about always winning something. Like I'm winning in my dreams.
Okay.
Like I'm getting medals, but I was not doing anything.
This is way before.
Way before class 10.
Right. Okay.
But I think that was kind of a manifestation.
Maybe it's also a drive to prove that you're ambitious. You want to.
I
achieve
was
something.
ambitious, but I did not have opportunities. So maybe because of that.
And
And
then
it is also repressed emotions.
You want to win. You want to get all these
subconscious mind.
chances.
Yeah.
So then, in college, what are the kind of opportunities you got?
I got into Expressions, which is the reporting and photography collective. Then I joined Flames, that is dancing collective. Then I went into Vox, debating and stuff.
So you tried out
I
everything. that your
started
heart
doing
wants.
MUNs.
Right.
Then I was actually...
You made the best use of your opportunity.
Yeah, because I did not get it in school, na? So I wanted to make the best. And
I think when I was in school, I was into speaking, public speaking, but I wanted to be in like so many other things. I wanted to watch all these fests, and I, like you, I tried myself out in college full out. Even though, sadly, after the first year itself, we went into lockdown for the next 1.5 years. But I can actually relate to you, that I made time. I don't think everybody should, but then how did this transition happen? Because, in lockdown, you were doing things online. But in college, I hope you're a post-pandemic batch, right?
Yeah.
So then you had to do things offline. So how did you manage to, be able to gear yourself up to actually face the people in person?
Now I'll tell you one thing. In the first year, there was this course called Public Speaking course.
Okay.
Which was offered by our own reporting club mentor,
Okay.
Samiksha ma'am. So she actually taught us how to be a good public speaker. What are the things that you need to do in order to become a good public. She basically gave a training. So I got that training in the very initial stage, like in the first year itself. And I also had some issues. I used to talk like a professor, not like a student. And my voice was very intimidating, very loud, and not so appealing to the audience. And I had this pride,
We have won so many things, these achievements.
Yeah. And that relatability
excellent
factor,
CV.
Yeah, relatability factor was very less, and I wasn't humble. I was humble in real life, but I wasn't humble when I was speaking.
Right. Your
So
pride would show up.
Yeah. So there was this corrections, she did.
So there was a very good guidance you got.
Yeah.
So then, how much does these interacting with the audience, this public speaking, help you in doing a write-up?
I think earlier I used to just write about the things I used to observe, but now I write about things that I hear from people or the experiences they have shared with me.
Do you interpret, like, do you interpret it in your own way? Does again psychology play a part here? Like, you have had a conversation and then you...
I think sometimes when the people who are narrating their own stories, they themselves don't know why they have done certain things.
Right. They just, I mean, even they wouldn't be able
and then
to...
I tell them, maybe you have done this because you have this childhood trauma of, girls have this problem of chasing bad boys or the emotionally unavailable people.
Right.
These are exactly girls who did not get enough attention from their parents when they were younger.
Okay.
I mean, any of the parent. They got neglected and they had to work very hard to get their attention. So when they see this unapproachable, might be very good
So you
looking.
think that gets converted there? Again,
So
you have
when
to,
they give their efforts and they give
you have to be
little bit
acknowledged
attention-
by them as well.
So they kind of feel rewarded. So it's not their fault exactly.
Right. So what you're saying is maybe they would want, they have felt like they have always been disappointing their parents. So it becomes a need to also at least this guy should think
A
I'm
loop.
worth something.
A loop.
Right.
So I explained it to most of my
do
friends.
girls get taken aback or do they get surprised? They become your fans.
Some of them have
Become your fans. Like tell me more.
And some were like, no, I still like this guy. No matter. They ignore the red flags.
I think they will anyway. Like even if they don't become your fan or they become your fan, they will do what they have to do.
Yeah. But I think when you are in love, there is this more oxytocin in your brain and there is other hormones that also... I think being in love is much more a hormonal process. It's more biological than...
Do you write about these in your books as well?
I'm still reading about this.
Okay.
So first I want to be well researched about
So
this
what
thing.
genre are you more into?
Crime thriller and...
Crime thriller. Okay, so that is where I think psychology plays a big part for you. That is why you're so much into psychology.
Yeah, because I started reading Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
And then Sherlock Holmes has this unique way of, connecting.
Absolutely. Like he has a mind map. You call it mind palace. What do you call it?
Yeah.
He has in his mind, he has a map.
Exactly.
And he just connects the dots.
And for that, and to understand that, you need to have a little bit knowledge about psychology.
Right. True. I mean, I think Sherlock Holmes has a beautiful way of narrating human mind, interpreting human mind, like you mentioned, Like, why can a person do this?
Even Watson's character.
Absolutely. Watson is a big support in a very, like, he isn't any crime master. But he is probably that, that back support of Sherlock.
But I think he's needed for the narrative. He's the one telling the story.
Definitely. I think Sherlock wouldn't be Sherlock
without Watson.
Or also the way Watson wrote Watson sort of perceives Sherlock.
Exactly. So I think to understand these kind of complex characters, you need to have an understanding of how people exactly are in real life. Because why did Arthur Conan Doyle write? He was a doctor.
Right.
He saw it in people. He saw those complex people. He saw how people are so
people
different.
are curious. They want to know, okay, why this happened? Why this person did it?
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's why crime thriller and psychological thriller, these are so popular, genres.
Yeah, because people are like, oh my God. People
Intrigued.
love to be excited. And they love to know, okay, what is going to happen? Where is this going to go?
That
Why did this
suspense
person
part.
do it? Suspect, correct. People are always very intrigued by suspense.
And I think that has helped me to develop as a writer because I do not reveal everything in the first only. Otherwise, why
Are you like that as a person? Are you a little bit mysterious as a person? Do you like to keep it low?
I'm an extrovert actually.
Okay.
But there is also a part of me that people are not aware of. So yeah.
So, what is the biggest challenge you face when you're writing these? Any you're participating in a competition or you're writing this, thrillers? What is the challenge that you face?
I think I made my stuff a little bit more serious, and I wrote for an audience that was mature. It was not for the youth.
Okay.
I mean, not for the school students. They would find my work little bit disturbing, little bit more triggering,
Okay.
and they might get disoriented after reading it. So this is a feedback I got from many people, and that is when I started including humor to make it a little bit lighter.
Okay.
To balance.
Right.
And
because humor is, even Sherlock Holmes has a lot of points where there is humor,
Exactly.
people laugh, right? There are funny
But I'm not
parts.
a very funny person, okay?
Okay. but I think you're keeping it quite light. Even these serious topics, you are keeping it light with your conversation.
Yeah, I've learned it.
You've learned
with
it
time.
with time,
But
with your
I'm
writing.
not at all a comedy person. I think the stand-up comedies that we hear right now, I
Right.
find them very misogynistic, to be honest.
Sometimes they are. I mean, there are good ones, but most of them.
I mean,
there's
why you see there is something, one thing that is common in all of the stand-ups.
sexual
No,
jokes.
it's about objectifying women.
Yeah, I mean, again, sexual jokes also
No,
come in
it's
a
a
way of.
reflection of the patriarchy we are a part of. It's also a reflection of Indian society, how we perceive women till now. It's like it has been so many, let's say more than 70 years, but still same.
Right.
And that's why I think that psychology can help these people to understand that, even stand-up comedy needs to
Right.
have boundaries.
Right.
It should be presented in a way that you doesn't take it lightly. Now, these people who are listening to the stand-up comedians, they might think that if he is doing it, then maybe objectifying
It's
women
okay,
is
people
normal.
are laughing, so it's
normal.
probably something really funny.
So when he's gonna have a girlfriend or when he's gonna talk to his sister, he's gonna do the same thing.
He's gonna crack a joke in front of his friends and think like it's okay.
And
Yeah.
what happens is that the girl,
It's actually a very now that you've raised this question, actually many girls actually normalize this. They think, okay, yeah, it's fine. Like it's something. It is probably funny. It's not offensive, but sometimes they are. But the sad part is even the girls don't realize, because it has been normalized in such a way.
see, society only normalizes stuff that are not normal. Why? You never have to normalize stuff that is already accepted. So this is a phenomena. It's a very
Correct.
sociology, oriented thing. I read sociology. That's why I know how society exactly functions.
So, as a writer, what do you recommend in terms of reading? Do you only read the genres that you write about, or are you open to all sort of writings?
I'm open to all sorts of writing.
And how much do you think reading is important before becoming a writer, or while you are a writer?
I think you should read extensively and explore all the genres so that you know the taste of everything and so that you know which one is your favorite and which one you will be able
You
to
want to
excel
explore,
in.
correct.
No, you can excel in. Every writer has a comfort zone. And I think I've been very versatile. I can write serious stuff, I can write happy stuff, I can write romantic stuff, I can write comedy. So I think I've been able to do that because I read so many different kinds of work.
Right.
So if you don't read them, then how will you know that this is how you start a romance novel. This is how you write a crime fiction.
So now that you have done so many you've got so many co-curricular achievements, how is it helping you stand out as a student or in life? How are all these achievements? Like you mentioned, you got this all year round achievers award, and please tell me about some of the national awards that you got.
I've got Rabindranath Tagore Literature Award. Then I have got there's this another award which I recently got. That is a Jolly Literary Award.
Okay. So how are participating in these things, winning all these things, helping you stand out in life? Did you ever see? Do you see yourself reaching an excel? Were you able to make use of it in a wonderful way? Did you get into something exemplary? How you're planning to use all these in future?
I'm someone who always wanted to be the brightest person. This motivation was always there. Okay. So for that, I studied. And maybe I did not like the syllabus, but I always read stuff that was not in the syllabus. Because when you just read the syllabus, you confine your knowledge to something. And authorities or even the syllabus is designed in such a way that they want student to know only a little bit. And I'm someone who is not okay with the little bit thing. It's like I want to know more. And that is how I started reading things outside the syllabus from a very young age. I did that. I had weird questions like why the sky is blue, why not red, why not pink.
So curiosity is again very important, probably.
Yeah. So I always suggest students read outside the syllabus as well, because do not restrict your knowledge. And me excelling in different curricular activities was for a soul-based reason, because I wanted to be multifaceted. You know, I didn't want it to be the Da Vinci of this generation, but I just
But you wanted to know as much as you can.
I wanted to tell people that people who are academically bright, who are serious people, who study a lot, can also excel in extracurricular
I think
activities.
knowledge is infinite, and
And dedication is equal.
the hunger for knowledge is never ending. So then, were you able to stand out in any way through anything?
Yeah, I think in reporting, I was one of the most oldest and the most hardworking people. I did the most number of reports than anyone else.
And then, how do you plan to use all this in future?
Then I did MUNs. I went outside Kolkata and I
Okay.
won national level MUNs.
That's amazing. So, what are like the 3 tips that you would want to give to your fellow students or your friends, who are probably facing challenges, who are a little bit shy about, letting their write-ups out to the world? What's the gear that you would like to give
See,
them?
the first thing I'll tell, step out of your comfort zone. Because comfort is boring to this generation. I'll be very honest about it. That the day you start, stepping out of your comfort zone, you also explore different parts of yourself that you did not know. Like I was a person who used to write sad and, lonely and quite deep stuff. But then I started writing romantic, little bit comedy, little bit of, horror. I'm a person scared of horror movies. For me, exploring to horror was like going in a different world.
Yeah.
So step out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself. Challenging yourself that's the second point that I'll say. Challenging yourself will bring out the best in you. Now you might fail sometimes, but there will be a time when you will see that a different person is emerging.
Right, because those failures also teach you.
Yeah, and challenging also makes you makes you capable to face situation on spot. Like
It doesn't make you scared anymore.
yes, boost. It is very good for boosting confidence.
And what's the third point?
And the third point is perseverance and resilience.
Determination, very important.
The ability to keep on going despite the failures and finding worth in yourself when no one else
Patience
does.
is very important there. You have to be very patient, I said.
When no one believes in you, but you have to believe in yourself.
Okay.
I think and having a good relationship with yourself. That is something that people don't even talk about.
Self-acceptance, you mean?
No, not just self-acceptance, knowing yourself.
Knowing yourself.
Something that is a part of intrapersonal intelligence. People who are psychologists, who are philosophers, they have a very good understanding about the
They do a lot of self-introspecting,
Exactly. So
Yeah.
every person needs to do that in order to know their strength and weakness. And the day you know it, you know that, this is what I'm going to do. This is,
Right.
you have a mindset or milestones to achieve.
Right. You have a lot of clarity as well through that.
Exactly.
Thank you, Kashish. Thank you so much for coming and giving such an insightful conversation to the students.
Thank you for having me. I never thought that I will ever be able to make here.
No, I read and it was very impressive, your achievements, and thought maybe you can.
And there's
add
one
value.
more part that I just forgot. That there was Manushi Chiller. She won Miss World in 2017. And she won after 17 years. Huge span of time. Then I researched a lot about her. And I saw her interviews, the way she is. And somehow I also wanted to become Miss India.
And she was a medical student.
Yes.
Not at all related to the glamour field.
Exactly.
That is again-
inspired me a lot. That if she can do it, maybe I can do it as well. So there is an inspiration. I think having a role model
Is very
or
important
having
as
an ideal self is very important
Right.
to progress and get to manifest things and get a way to achieve it.